What is going on, aliens? Mike Rosa here, and I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Welcome to video number 2 of my 3-part video series on my weird 3-step process that helps me burn belly fat and gain lean muscle mass on command. Today, in this training video, we're gonna go over my secrets on how to build lean muscle mass without putting on too much fat in the process. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to stick with me through the rest of the video. I want to mention that we've had over 1,900 people from all around the world sign up for this masterclass today. We had over 110 comments in the first video alone. Can we beat that today, aliens? Leave a comment about where you're checking in from. Right in that comment section below. I will join you guys there. Let me know and represent your area. Before we get started, I want to encourage you to turn off any distractions, your cell phones, your tablets, and solely focus on this video. I'm going to be going over training that's taken me over 6 years to learn through trial and error, so there's going to be a lot of information in this. I even recommend you take out a pen and paper to take notes. And don't worry if you feel overwhelmed, because if you take away just 10% of what I'm teaching you, I'm sure you will start to see better results. So go ahead and turn off all those distractions, and once you have, leave a comment saying I'm all in. Your comments fuel me to keep delivering the best content I can, and it just lets me know that I'm doing a good job. I'll be joining in those comments, guys, so please leave them. Also, it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 100 years old. What I will be teaching you will be effective no matter what your age is, so don't think there are any restrictions. Anyone can do this, and it will be effective if you apply what I teach consistently. And just to remind you before we get into it, this is not for people who are expecting results overnight. This is for action takers, not dabblers. So if you're ready to put in that work, let me get right into these secrets on how you can build lean muscle mass on command without putting too much fat in the process. Let's get it, aliens. Alright guys, welcome back. So in the last session, I showed you how to lose belly fat without cutting out your favorite foods or doing hours of cardio. So now that you know how to lose that belly fat, I want to show you how to put on lean muscle mass without putting on too much fat so you can get that toned athletic physique. Because guys, if you lose all that belly fat but you don't have any muscle to back it up, it's not going to look too impressive now, is it? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to put on lean muscle mass on command without putting on too much fat in the process. Now I know not everyone has access to a gym or certain equipment, and I do not want that to restrict you from your gains. These principles and methods that I'm going to teach you guys work whether you have full gym access or you're at home only using your body weight. This works. Apply these methods and you will put on lean muscle without putting on too much fat. Now for those of you who don't have gym access, I get asked all the time if people can still gain muscle when they don't have any equipment. Or another way to put it, can I get big from just working out at home? The answer is yes. Of course you can. You just have to do it properly. So let me use my client Eddie for example. So Eddie trains at home and only uses his body weight and a pair of 15-pound dumbbells for his training. He made great progress right off the bat, but then he hit a point where those 15-pound dumbbells started to feel pretty easy on certain exercises. His training started to feel stagnant, and since he couldn't go up in weight, he started to feel like he wasn't seeing as much progress. And when you feel like you're not getting as much progress as you were before, you start to really get demotivated. And he got to that point that those exercises that he were doing, he felt kind of like they were pointless in doing because he couldn't progress in them. Therefore, he wasn't going to get more results, so he didn't feel like working out as much. But as soon as Eddie told me that things started to feel easy, oh no. We switched up the order of exercises, added static holds, changed the duration of exercises, and those 15-pound dumbbells, he told me they started to feel like they were 100 pounds. Now, some of you may be thinking, Mike, I don't even have dumbbells. Can I still make gains with just my body weight? Guys, I used to think there was a body weight limit. I would do all these body weight exercises, and when they got easy for me, I just stopped doing the exercises. Stopping doing the exercises is what hindered my progression. That was a mistake. I felt at that point in time like when I couldn't really intensify that exercise, there wasn't really a point to work toward, so why just keep doing that exercise when there was no really end goal or a way to get better? That is so wrong. I could have made those exercises harder, and I know that now. And now I'm going to use an example from my client Jane. She could not do a push-up, and she was really pissed at herself. She would try to do a push-up and just fall to the ground and just think, fuck, I'm never going to be able to do this. So I had her do negatives on her knees to start it off. What that means is she was modifying the push-up by being on her knees and coming down as slowly as possible, not focusing on coming back up, focusing on coming down and controlled very slowly and kind of building up that stability factor for the push-up. When she started doing those and getting the hang of that, I had her go over to a couch and then start doing modified push-ups against the couch, so like a decline positioning, hitting that lower chest, which is a much easier form of the modified push-up. So she started banging out those, and then I had her do the normal modified push-up, so just a regular push-up on her knees, coming down and coming back up. She started doing those, and then when she got good at those, she started being able to do normal push-ups. She finally was able to do it, and then she started making those push-ups even harder for herself. There was always a way to make exercises harder. You just have to understand that how your body is going to adapt to new kinds of stimuli. You have to be able to adjust, start maybe lighter in a sense, and then you can just intensify it. And then when you intensify it, you can keep on intensifying it by adding different types of mechanisms that your body isn't used to. So you can always make exercises harder is the point. Now, usually when bodyweight exercises become easy for a person, they get to a point where they decide they have to go to a gym, or they just stop working out in general because they think they can't make any more gains at home. I personally decided to join a gym because I wanted to get into powerlifting. I wanted to use a lot more resistance in my training, and I just wanted to take my own training efforts to the next level. That being said, not everyone has the financial situation where they can afford a gym, or maybe they don't have time to make it over to the gym, or maybe they live in a location where there's not a gym in their area. Not everyone is going to have gym access, and I want to make it absolutely clear right now that you can still make significant gains right from home only using your body weight. You can make any exercise harder just by intensifying it, whether it's adding static holds, whether it's changing the duration of how long you're doing the exercise, whether it's changing the order so you're pre-exhausting other muscles to make this exercise that was easier before harder. You can always make an exercise more intense. And when you learn to do that, you open up a realm of endless progressional possibility. So, who would want to learn how to use these techniques to intensify all of your exercises? So let me teach you. We're going to start off by talking about progressive overload. Progressive overload is a gradual increase of stress on your body during physical exercise. So if you're training at home and doing static holds, you can increase the duration you do that static hold to add more stress onto your body. If you're doing sets and reps, you can add more sets. You can add more reps. You're increasing the stress on your body by doing that. Or if you're doing time workouts, you can limit your excess rest or decrease your rest times to add more stress onto your body. There is always a way you can progress with your exercises. You just have to be able to understand how to intensify that stress on your body. And the only way to truly do that with progressive overload when you're training at home is by tracking your workouts. You have to know how many sets you did, how many reps you did, how long your rests were taking, how long your static holds were. Because when you know that information, you're able to, for your current sessions and your future sessions, build off your previous sessions. So you're constantly going forward and constantly intensifying each exercise. If you have no idea what you did in your previous training sessions, then it's always going to be a guessing game, and of course it's going to start feeling easy. When you're constantly building, you're basically PRing every workout, and you can consistently progress over time no matter where, if you're training at home or at the gym. You can constantly build off your previous training sessions by adding more stress onto your body. Now that you understand how important progressive overload is and consistently building up the stress you're placing upon your body so you can keep on building more muscle, it's essential that you also understand how important total volume is. Total volume is one of the main mechanisms for building muscle. That's called metabolic stress, the duration you're placing tension upon the muscles. You need total volume in order to see significant growth. And when you neglect total volume, you're hindering your muscle growth potential. So let me give you an example of what I mean by finishing your total volume. If you have 3 sets of 12 repetitions to do, that means you have 36 reps total volume to do. If you up the intensity of your exercise, that progressive overload, and can't seem to get 12 reps in one set, even though you're supposed to, that is completely okay. What's going to make this exercise and total volume effective is adding more sets until you get those 36 desired total reps. That is what's going to give you the most gains possible for size. If you do not get that total volume, you are seriously taking away a huge aspect of your metabolic stress. You have to get that total volume no matter what. Even if it takes you 12 sets and it's supposed to take 3, by finishing your total volume, you're going to see way more results than if you didn't. So the actionable step I want you to start taking right now is to stop thinking just about sets and reps and think total volume. Take your desired reps and desired sets and add that up and get that total volume number, and that now is going to be your final destination. And you are going to get there no matter what. No matter how many sets it takes, you're going to get to that final destination, that total desired volume. And that is going to get you the most gains possible. And that also gives you a whole nother progressional overload opportunity. Meaning, say you have 36 total volume reps to get, and you have 3 sets of 12 to do it. And you only get 2 full sets of 12 reps, and then it takes 2 more sets, you get 8 reps and then 4 reps. So next time, maybe it still takes 4 sets, but you get 10 reps and then 2 reps. That is progression, and that is the way you can still monitor your progression and see that you're building. Those slow increments are going to lead to huge things. Think small things lead to big things, and you're going to keep on building off those small increments and see more gains than you've ever had before. And now that you're tracking your workouts and utilizing progressive overload, consistently building off your previous training sessions, as well as ensuring that you're hitting your total training volume, let's re-talk about how you can intensify exercises when you don't necessarily have the resistance to do so. So you have to create that resistance. Now, ways you can do that, you can change the order that you perform your exercises. So let's say you do push-ups and then you go to reverse grip push-ups. Push-ups have now become easy. You can do reverse grip push-up first and then do push-ups after, and I guarantee those push-ups are going to feel a lot harder after you've already pre-fatigued that upper chest by doing reverse grip push-ups. Or another way you can do it, you can add static holds. So say you're doing a push-up, you come down and you hold it at the bottom for a long duration of time. You can keep extending that time or do other different types of techniques like tempo training, where you come on a 3-second descent on the push-up, then pause for maybe like 2 seconds at the bottom and then come back up counting the 3. So that'd be a 3-2-3 tempo, meaning you're counting 3 coming down, you're pausing for 2 at the bottom, and then going 1, 2, 3 coming all the way back up to the starting position. Tempo training or just adding static holds is a great way to add a lot more stress into the body, and I can promise you it's going to intensify literally any exercise you can do. Tempo training is brutal, guys. So definitely give that a try if you're finding that some exercises are starting to feel too easy. You can also intensify exercises by just simply pre-exhausting muscle groups, by meaning if you want your chest to get more activity and you feel like body exercises aren't necessarily giving you enough tension on your chest, hit your triceps first. So make sure your triceps are absolutely pre-fatigued so you can basically take them out of being more of a synergistic muscle in your chest exercises, and your chest is going to have to do that much more work to compensate for the less tricep engagement. You can always intensify your exercises. You just have to be able to apply some form of extra resistance, and you can do that just by using your own body weight against you. I want you guys to give that 3-2-3 tempo a try on your next body weight exercise. So come down, 1, 2, 3, hold at that bottom position for 2 seconds, 1, 2, and then come up, 1, 2, 3, and that is 1 repetition. Give that tempo a try, and I want you guys to comment below about how much more intense that is. Are you guys getting this? Is it making sense? You can get gains without any gym equipment or with limited equipment just by making exercises that much more intense. You have to be able to add resistance even when you don't have necessarily some form of excess resistance to add. You create that resistance through your own body, and I hope these tips you can start applying to make sure you do to keep on progressively building, because you can't keep getting results by doing the same thing forever. And of course, all these principles that I just said that apply to at home obviously apply to at the gym as well. You have progressive overload at the gym where you build off your previous training sessions, but you have more possibility because you have a lot more options, more equipment, more weight to use. And then of course, same with total volume. You can finish your total volume just like I explained for at home at the gym. Just make sure you're getting your total training volume no matter what. You have that end goal, reset end goal, no matter how many sets it takes. And then you can add static holds, you can try tempo training at the gym, you can use that with weights, it doesn't just have to be body weight, you can change around the duration of your exercises, you can change around the order, you can do whatever you want to do at home that also applies to at the gym. You have more options at the gym, so don't think all these methods that I'm teaching that can be done at home don't also apply to at the gym. These are prime mechanisms for building muscle. They work universally whether you're at home or at the gym. Another misconception that I hear all the time is when people say to me, hey Mike, if I try to put on muscle and bulk, I'm gonna get fat too. Have you guys ever thought this before? Because when I used to bulk in the past, I would eat everything in sight, stop doing cardio, and get freaking huge. But every time I did that and got huge, I'd lose all my aesthetics in the process. I'd get to a point where I'd look at myself and I'd be like, fuck, I look terrible. I gotta get my aesthetics back. And then I'd go from a bulk to a cut, back to a bulk, back to a cut, back to a bulk, back to a cut, and it'd be a never-ending process going back and forth, never really getting any long-lasting results. It's just like how I mentioned in the earlier series, how it's like a toxic relationship. Like when you're fighting and everything sucks and you just want to be single, but then you make up and everything's perfect and it's all I love you, but then you go back to fighting again maybe a week later. If you keep going back and forth like that, it's the same thing with fitness. it's never gonna work out and you're never gonna reach that sense of happiness that you're actually aiming for. So you may be thinking, how did I break this seemingly endless cycle? Well, I started monitoring my caloric intake to a slight surplus, I kept doing my HIIT cardio, my Tabata cardio, and I focused on gaining muscle. This allowed me to gain size while also maintaining the majority of my aesthetics. Now let me explain this a little more in detail for you. You need to be in a caloric surplus in order to add on overall mass. So let's redefine what your basal metabolic rate or maintenance caloric value is in order for us to define what a caloric surplus is. So your basal metabolic rate or maintenance caloric value is how many calories your body is naturally expending throughout the day at rest. So not accounting for exercise expenditure, this is how many calories you are burning at rest. Now for me, my maintenance value is 3,000 calories. So in order for me to get in the surplus, I have to eat more than 3,000 calories. Now I recommend 100 to 500 caloric surplus in order to add on mass without adding too much fat in the process. Anything more than 500 caloric surplus, you're more than likely going to add on a decent amount of fat too. Anything less than 100 caloric surplus, you're going to see very minimal mass gain or none at all. So you have to be in that caloric surplus to really notice mass gain. Now another factor that you have to keep in mind is exercise expenditure. More often than not, I think this is one of the main reasons that people don't actually gain mass. They think they're eating in a caloric surplus, and maybe they are, but then from their exercise, they're actually putting themselves in a deficit or just at a maintenance value, so they're not actually in that surplus anymore, gaining all of that mass. You have to account for your exercise expenditure when you're talking about gaining mass and gaining weight, because you need to ensure that you're actually in that surplus. So if you are exercising, account for the calories burned. Keep that in mind for your total caloric intake for the day, because you're going to need to compensate that loss of calories by the food you're consuming. So in order to add on mass, you need to ensure that you're in that caloric surplus. Now that you know that you need to be in a caloric surplus, another huge tip is that you should be eating more protein. Protein actually stimulates the thermic effect of food more optimally, because your body is going to work harder to digest and process protein than it would for carbs and fats. So by eating more protein, you're actually increasing your metabolism. So really a simple actionable step is eat more protein, have a higher protein diet, and that's actually going to result in you building more muscle mass, and it's also going to even help you burn fat in the process. So you're going to be able to put on more muscle by eating more protein, and since that thermic effect of food is going to increasing your overall metabolism, you're not going to gain nearly as much fat because of that more protein-filled diet. And now that you understand that you need to be eating in a caloric surplus in order to gain overall mass, as well as you want to be consuming high protein to have that increase in metabolism where you're able to focus on building that lean mass while also minimizing that fat gain, you also wanted to take into consideration the types of foods you're eating. You want to be eating nutrient-dense foods rather than calorically dense foods. And what that means is nutrient-dense foods are foods that are low in calories but high in nutrients, versus calorically dense, which are high in calories and low in nutrients. This is when we get specific on fat storages and muscle mass distributions. When you eat nutrient-dense foods, you get the proper components of macros, so your carbs, fats, and proteins, as well as micronutrients. This is going to significantly impact your muscle mass and as well as your fat properties, your muscle to fat ratio. If you're just thinking total calories, that works for weight gain and weight loss, whether you're in a surplus or a deficit. It's just mathematically speaking. But when you're getting to the specifics of muscle mass and fat, you have to also take into consideration the micronutrient content and how it's going to play a role in the process. Nutrient-dense foods are going to allow you to get all the proper components you need, rather than eating calorically dense foods where it's just going to give you the proper maybe macros you need. But the micronutrient content does play a significant role in the fat aspect as well as the muscle gaining process. So some ways you can start being more considerate of the nutrient-dense foods that you're consuming: eat more vegetables, eat more fruit, eat more leaner meats, eat more polymonounsaturated fat sources rather than saturated fat sources, and eat more whole grain carbs. Start doing that and you're going to notice a big difference in your aesthetics. So does that all make sense? If you're serious about gaining muscle while also minimizing your fat gain, then you have to take into consideration the amount of calories you're consuming. You want to be in that slight caloric surplus, but you also want to be mindful of the types of calories you're consuming. You want to be having nutrient-dense foods, and that's going to have a significant impact on your muscle to fat ratio. So guys, don't make the same mistake I did when you're trying to gain muscle and just eat everything in sight. Yes, you will bulk up and you will gain weight, but it's not going to be the weight that you necessarily necessarily want, and you're not going to get that ideal image that you're actually striving for. And one more thing I want to get into is breaking the myth of being a hard gainer, and I'll give you my own personal little story. I trained my calves off for over a year, doing 5 different types of exercises each workout, trying to build them. I was constantly sore, and I was actually making significant strength gains in my calves, but I was making 0 size gains. It was actually really confusing. I was putting in the work, and the worst part was I really thought it was making a difference, and then when you step back and analyze that there's really not much of a difference even happening, you just get angry, frustrated, and start really feeling demotivated. Nothing fucks with your mentality more than when you think something's working and then you just find out it's not. For example, I was squatting over 500 pounds and people were still giving me comments asking if I even trained legs because of my calves. I was like, what the fuck? I need to figure out how to gain size in these bad boys. So I started researching forums and looking all over the internet for types of exercises I could do, since what I was doing clearly wasn't working. But then I started finding a lot of people saying that they just can't gain calf size because it's restricted by their genetics. So it was basically genetically impossible for them to get big calves because they weren't genetically inclined to do so. I actually started to believe that. I stopped training my calves every day and just started to train them on the days I hit my legs, which was twice a week. I trained my calves by hitting 2 strength exercises, so one being a raise and one being an extension, and then followed up those strength exercises with 1 burnout, normally being one of my intense calf workouts on my YouTube channel. I just burn out the calf muscles, and on top of this, I'd also focus on hitting my calves from every direction, so outer angles, inner angles, and then neutral angles. Training my calves with this new method, I still felt sore and I still was noticing strength gains, but I finally also started noticing significant size gains as well. For the first time ever, my calves were making gains. Guys, hard gainer is just an excuse. You have to find a method that actually works for your body. No matter how stubborn a muscle area may be to grow, it can grow. And it may grow differently for every different type of person. And maybe this training style works for someone else and it doesn't work for you. But there is a training method that can work for you. You just have to play around with frequencies and overall volume and find out which way is going to respond best for you. Hard gaining is an excuse. It may be harder to gain, but it's not impossible. And I can promise you right now that if you neglect those hard gaining areas, that you're never going to see any improvement with them. You have to find a way to actually make them get results, because they can. You just have to figure out which method's going to work best for you. Now, just to recap on what we went over today, I showed you how to put on quality muscle at home without any equipment or minimal equipment, as well as at the gym, and also a little formula on how to gain lean muscle mass without putting on a lot of fat in the process. Can you already see that it's not as complicated as you may thought to put on muscle? How are you going to feel when you fill out your shirt with big shoulders and big arms, or when you're on the beach rocking a 6-pack and all those eyes are on you? So now that I've shown you in the previous video on how to lose belly fat, and now in this video how to put on lean muscle mass, the next step is to show you my secrets on how to consistently put in the work. Because honestly guys, I can give you all the tips and tricks in the world to lose this belly fat and put on muscle mass, but it's not going to matter at all if you can't put in the work consistently. So in the next video, I'm going to share with you the secrets that I've used to maintain consistent, sustainable results and progress over a 6-year period. So if you're serious about long-term fitness results, you're not going to want to miss this video. It honestly is going to be the deciding factor of whether you succeed or fail at reaching your fitness goals. Also, if you have any friends or family or whoever that you think could be benefiting from this training, or you think that someone really needs to hear this advice, share the word. Let's try to help as many people as possible get this advice so they can get results faster than the average person. That's all for today, guys. Make sure to tune in for the next training session where I go over the #1 secret to maintaining that long-term fitness success through that consistency. So leave a comment below, guys, about what your biggest breakthrough was about gaining muscle, and I'll make sure to join you in that comment section. I will see you in the next training session talking about consistency. Peace, aliens.